to me and the nerds of color. Um, for starters, how are you? How's the year been for you? I know 2020 is a time we'd all like to put behind us. So I'm
Yes.
hoping 2021's been better for you.
Yes. Well, you're correct. 2020 is definitely was a learning experience for all. I happened to get engaged in 2020, so it wasn't too bad at the end there, which was lovely. And of course, we elected a new president, so it was a really good week for me. But 2021 has been light years better, especially since we premiered Resident Alien.
I think you really helped usher in a better new year. So congratulations on all those fronts. Really, the sage burning has been set by
Yeah.
um, by Sarah
Thank
and company. So we appreciate that for the new year.
cleansing. I love how you put that. Yeah, cleansing the old
Hmm.
negative energy, asking it to leave. Thank you for what you taught us, and bringing in
Hmm.
and inviting in the new good energy.
And just thinking about Resident Alien again, congratulations, folks are loving it. I loved it. It really introduced, I think, a different side of that murder mystery when you're trying to, murder that happens in a small town, and it sort of flips that story on its head. Um, how did it feel to be like just at the finish line, with Resident Alien, and right at the end having to wait still, because of the pandemic taking up a lot of that end time?
Yeah, thank you for asking. It was a very long journey just to get to where we're at, and that didn't even include a pandemic. So we were already going on 2 years at that point just to get it on its feet. And March 13th, so 2 days from now, our 1 year anniversary of the day that we shut down. We were in the middle of shooting a very intense, important scene, which already felt bizarre. And so it's now Friday the 13th, and now they're telling us the world is on fire and America's throwing toilet paper everywhere. And, like we don't know what's going on. So Alan and I just looked at each other, and I said, I don't know what's going on, man, but it was really great working with you. If I never see you again, like, you just don't know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we had this very sobering hug that day. I remember being like, good to know you. And then we like went our separate ways, and just like everyone else had no idea what was going to happen. We were 2 weeks from finishing, so we weren't even sure if we'd finish. Um, we were hopeful that we would because it was only 2 weeks, but it takes a lot of people and time and money to get a production happening during a pandemic with all the things we have to do. So it took us about 5 months to finally get the networks, green light and okay to go back. And we quarantined and isolated for 2 weeks, and then everybody had to wear masks and shields. We couldn't really have that same camaraderie we usually do with the crew because they had to be so far away. Um, Alan and I always would walk in a room and they would yell first team, and like the seas would part, and we just were like, I mean, they might as well just roll out a red carpet. My God. But it felt so sad. It was like, don't, oh, but you have to, we had to. We were all under a lot of stress to be, very safe. Nobody wanted to be the one to, fuck it up. So um, we, uh, we finally finished. It took us about a month to do what we were going to do in 2 weeks because you have to have less hours in the day. You have to, you can only work together so long before you have to take breaks, which is probably really good in general. I think there's things that we are going to have on sets now because of the pandemic that maybe are just good in general. Craft food services is always probably going to have to be, sectioned off, and I think that that's probably a good thing. There's a lot of times you're working on set that it's easy to just pick up a little cold bug going around. So I think we've all learned from that. But we finished, and it was definitely anticlimactic and weird. We didn't have a wrap party. The majority of us that were still there got together with our masks on, and we had this one night where we all just kind of sat around and reminisced about the last 2.5 years. And then we wished each other well, and we had to go back into this fire again. You still don't, it was still pretty scary at that time. So we went back and got through the holidays and post-production finished and we aired, which was such an amazing, amazing experience to finally get to that point. And the response we're getting from our audience and our fans is how much they really need this show right now. um, I think we needed it, and so did they. And it's really lovely too to have something that comes out every week as opposed to something you can binge. It's quite refreshing, I think, to have something you're waiting to see. And um, I feel like nobody's done that since like Game of Thrones or Lost. Even there were these
Hmm.
big shows that happened where everyone, it felt like so many people were all just waiting to watch it. Um, so that's been really cool to be a part of that fold now, to be in that fold. But yeah, that was mainly the pandemic experience.
I think you're right too about just being able to savor each episode and getting to sit and ruminate with things that you could miss if you just binge. I'm one of those folks who I'm really spoiled and really like my wife and I are like when a show drops, we're gonna knock this out and burn through this. But getting to sit with each episode is really lovely because you see that organic chemistry play out between you and your castmates, and I think that's why it's sitting so well with audiences. Um, I know y'all shot in Vancouver. It
Yep.
looked cold as hell. How did you cope with that? I'm from South Florida. I'm from Miami. If it gets 60 degrees, I'm out of there. So what was that like?
Just posted a picture about this on Instagram because Alice Wetterland, who plays Darcy, she and I had this scene one day outside at Ladysmith, which is Vancouver Island in Vancouver. And it was freezing, and Asta only wears that leather jacket. She's one with the earth, and she is somebody who thinks better in the cold. But man, that was freezing, and we're LA kids. So we were just like not having it that day. But you can't help but still just be so warmed up by this amazing chemistry that she and I have, and then being able to do the scene work that we get to do. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, the weather in Vancouver, especially when we were shooting November, December, January, February, we were there for the winter, and I haven't been around snow in years. I haven't even been in a position where that was a part of having snow days again, or having even sleet and rain. LA is just, we get rain. We actually, our rain seasons right now, as a matter of fact. So that's not uncommon for us, but it certainly doesn't happen a lot. And there were stints where there'd be like 10 days in a row of just gray rain. And so the Canadians there gave us advice, which was take a lot of D3, which is really good for sunlight and, great for your mental health. And then there's these lights you can buy that I guess act like the sun. And so they have those in rooms, and they have what they're called sun rooms. And they'll just go in there and turn those like UV ray lights on so that they can get this feeling that it's sunny out when it's not. And honestly, I at first when they told me this, I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll be all right. I lived in Ohio. I know gray. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But no, that was no joke. There were definitely some seasonal depression moments. My fiance and I both were there, and he's a filmmaker and an editor, and he was working on a black and white film. So you imagine like he's editing monotonously,
Mm.
like black and white footage, and then he looks up and it's like gray everywhere. It was like,
It's all coming together. It's just the reality of the thing.
yeah, it was like Pleasantville. He was just like aching for color, you know.
That's funny because Asta's all about, like you said, the natural world, the elements. But I bet Sarah really loved that sunroom at the end of the day.
Well,
Um,
that's when I realized how much I have been, I grew up on the East Coast, but I'm West Coast at heart, and I moved to LA in 2007. So it's been a long time. I've lived in LA longer than anywhere else in my life because I was a military kid. So it just, it made me realize when I was in Vancouver, like I really am a sun baby now. Now I'm a West Coaster, and I like it, and I prefer the sun. But I was talking to another castmate. Her name's Diane. She plays Ellen, that nurse that's in the clinic with me. She's so fun. She just comes in and has these weird, fun moments with me. Um, she was saying how the longer she lives in Vancouver, because she'd done both, the more she really loves the gray, and how that has become her norm of like loving a good, beautiful gray day, and that the sun sometimes is like too much. And I was like, wow, we're total opposites.
I don't know. I could be in a cold place for much longer than I was in South Florida, and I don't know that I would ever get used to that. There's just something about the sun that just sticks and stays on you, and it is so tough to get away
Yeah.
from. Um, just thinking about your portrayal of Asta for a moment, you and her fit like, you know, a hand in a glove, and it's organic and it's really thoughtful and really moving. What helped you shape this character, and was it just purely source material? Did you maybe explore other areas to help really tap in to who
Thank
she
you
is?
for saying that. And yes, I did definitely explore a lot of things, but mostly in meditation and sitting in stillness and with myself, doing some impulse work. My fiance, like I said, he's a filmmaker and he's an incredible acting coach. So we love doing physical movement to get into a character. It really helps you kind of get into your body and out of your head. So I spent a lot of days barefoot in the living room, kind of rolling around and trying to get anything that I felt I needed to get out and up onto the surface, get it off of me, anything that was mine, negative energy I was bringing in from that day, so that I could clear the space, so that I could really invite Asta in and find out who she is. And it wasn't that hard to figure out who she is because we have a lot of similarities. I think our biggest um, thing we don't share is jeans. I hate wearing jeans. So that was a big struggle at first, but in general, that's such a small thing compared to all the other wonderful personality traits that she has, and you know bouts of style. So I was in a place in my life when I got this script where I really understood grief and isolation. I had just gone through a divorce, and I was feeling um, like I was just coming back online, and feeling tender and unsure, and um, like a raw open wound, which is really what Asta is too. And so it was pretty incredible to be able to not only see this cover um, on the comic book, and to feel like, wow, that kind of looks like me. That's cool. She's cool looking. But then to like read the script, and that pilot especially, I've never been in a physically abusive relationship, but I've definitely been in a mentally abusive one. And I certainly felt like I had been through a lot of mental abuse, post divorce, dealing with my own issues of grief and failure. And so I really understood where she was coming from right off the bat. I didn't have to put anything on it. I just kind of stepped right into that. And the sarcasm is the second thing that I love about Asta, and it is something
Yeah.
I'm very good at.
Hmm.
So it is,
Hmm.
I have three brothers. I have a big family. We all love to give each other shit. And so sarcasm is Asta's middle name for sure. So that was something else I didn't really have to try too hard at. I was dealing with my own vulnerable feelings, and so was she. So I just really treated her tenderly and didn't judge her too much. And um and I loved this concept of um this foreign, person coming into her life. I don't know that he's foreign, but he's foreign to this land, and yet he's foreign to our land in patience. And it's really quite extraordinary when she meets him, because she's having a lot of trust issues with men, and he's the kind of guy who just blatantly, like, just says anything he's thinking.
Yeah, totally unfiltered. Just.
Yeah, which is so opposite of her
Hmm.
ex-husband, and so opposite of her relationships that she's had. Obviously she has an a little bit, some issues with her adopted father. And like, there's just ways that she has men in her life that she just doesn't know if she can fully trust. And the one guy she could was Sam, her friend that she worked with at the clinic, and now he's died. And so this new guy coming in is just so pompous and so completely opposite. And yet he's telling these truths in a way that she's never heard them before, that it was quite fascinating, as you know, Asta as well as Sarah, to be able to witness Alan having these moments that were so organic and improvised and fresh. There was never a dull moment when we were on set together. I didn't have to put much on it. I just had to sit back and watch and listen, you know? So that was really extraordinary for both Asta and Sarah, but it's really quite rewarding to see it unfold. Even now, watching it every week, there's some things I just kind of forget about, and then I watch it and I really remember being in that moment, in that place as Asta. And and I'm like, wow, we got here, we made it here, and now it looks like this. And it really has this wonderful way of coming across in such a relatable way. Human versus alien, human versus human, human versus self, you know, alien versus human, alien versus self. There's a lot of really wonderful themes that we're all really going through because of quarantine, facing ourselves in the mirror, asking ourselves what we really want, who we really are, and what it all really means. If we belong, how do we belong? It's just really timely. And I feel like I'm a big fan of the universe and higher power and energy. And I really feel like we were all brought here for a reason. The cast, the script, the themes, and then we didn't actually get on air until we were supposed to. You know, we were supposed to be on air like a year ago, but if that had happened, I feel like the show wouldn't have been as influential. And I'm really grateful that it worked out the way that it did. And I'm certainly grateful that this cast came together the way that they did. Um, Especially grateful to Chris Sheridan, who was our main showrunner, and he introduced us all. And he's been introducing us since from the beginning. So we've been like family. We have a text thread that we use every day. We're just constantly like on there sending each other memes, giving each other shit, and then also praise for each episode. And it's quite lovely.
And it's clear how timely it came, and the resonance of it now hits so much harder, like you said, because of everything that's transpired since y'all got on board. The performances are really just spot on, and your ability to, like you said, evoke the best of Asta is gorgeous. And I'm gonna steal that, out of, into your body, out of your head, mantra to sort of carry me through. Before I let you go there, Sarah, what are some of the projects that fans of yours can look forward to?
Ooh, well, at the moment, pandemic has definitely caused a little bit of a lull in projects, but also I have a good problem, which is I'm a series regular now, so it's harder for me to book things. And right now it's pilot season, so there's a lot of series regular recurring, guest star work. But I am looking forward to doing some film in the future. My fiance is a filmmaker, as I said, and he's working on this incredible piece that's like an art house thriller that we're going to work on together. We're hoping in 2022, as long as it's safe and we get the funding that we need. But that's going to be the main thing that we're putting the eggs in our basket. An art house thriller where I can really go super dark and get really into metaphor of depression, which I think is scary all its own. You don't need to put much on that. So that's something to look forward to. And then who knows? Who knows what's coming down the lane? Our answers are always on their way to us. So we'll see what happens.
Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciated talking to you. Congratulations again on the engagement, on the show, on all the good to come your way. I have no doubt about that. Really wishing you and yours nothing but the best moving forward. And just really, truly enjoyed speaking with you today. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, Jamal. Send love to your wife, and I hope you guys have a great week. And I hope you enjoy the end of the series because we're coming to the end here. So thank you for having me.